time travelers or coincidence. Crimes linked to bizarre time-related events. Time travel, an idea that has fascinated humans for centuries. Science fiction has shown us worlds where people travel backward and forward through time, altering history and reshaping destinies. But what if some of these stories weren't fiction? What if real-life crimes, unsolved mysteries, and baffling events had connections to something beyond our understanding of time? Could time travelers be among us, influencing the past and shaping the future? Or are these strange cases just eerie coincidences that defy logical explanation? Tonight, we dive deep into real-life crimes linked to bizarre time-related events, cases that leave us questioning reality itself. Case of Rudolph Fentz, the man out of time. Our first case takes us back to New York City, 1950. On a warm June evening, a man dressed in outdated clothing, Victorian-era garments to be precise, suddenly appeared in the middle of Times Square. Witnesses claim he seemed confused, looking around as if he had no idea where he was. Before he could react, tragedy struck. A taxi came speeding down the road, unable to stop in time, and hit him. The man died instantly. First, this seemed like a tragic but ordinary accident. However, when authorities examined his belongings, they found something chilling. A copper token for a beer, marked from a saloon that hadn't existed in over 100 years. A bill for the care of a horse and a carriage, issued by a stable that closed decades earlier. A letter sent in 1876, yet appearing in pristine condition. No modern identification, just an address that led to a house abandoned long ago. Further investigations uncovered something even more astonishing. A man named Rudolph Fentz had disappeared without a trace in 1876. He was last seen going out for an evening walk in New York and was never found again. Had he somehow been pulled through time? Did he unknowingly step into a time rift, appearing in 1950 only to meet his tragic end? Some skeptics claim the story is an urban legend, but no official record ever debunked the details. True, this could be one of the strongest cases of a crime linked to an actual time traveler, a man who vanished in one century only to reappear in another. The mystery of the man from Taured, a time traveler or a lost dimension. In 1954, a businessman landed at Haneda Airport in Tokyo, Japan, holding a passport from a country that didn't exist. His passport, stamps, and documents were all perfectly legitimate, yet his country, Taured, was nowhere to be found on any map. Immigration officials, baffled by the discovery, detained the man for questioning. He insisted that Taured was a real country, located between France and Spain. His travel history matched official records, and his passport showed stamps from multiple countries, proving that he had traveled extensively. Authorities, suspicious yet intrigued, placed him under surveillance in a hotel room on the top floor, where he was ordered to stay until further verification could be made. Guards stood outside his door all night. The next morning, the unthinkable happened. The man vanished, without a trace. His belongings disappeared as well. The guards never heard a sound, and the only exit was through a locked, heavily secured door. There were no signs of forced entry, no evidence of escape. It was as if he had simply ceased to exist. Was he a time traveler, mistakenly transported to our timeline? Had he somehow returned to his own world? Or did authorities unknowingly trap a man from a parallel dimension, only for him to be pulled back into the unknown? The 1981 murder that predicted itself, the case of Henry McCarty. In 1981, a man named Henry McCarty was found murdered in his small Texas home. The case itself wasn't particularly unusual, until detectives discovered an old newspaper clipping on his desk. The article described the death of Billy the Kid, the famous outlaw also named Henry McCarty, who had been shot and killed in 1881, exactly 100 years before. This raised disturbing questions. Was the modern-day Henry McCarty a descendant of the infamous outlaw? Or was he the same man, somehow alive 100 years after his recorded death? Even more bizarre, investigators discovered that McCarty's fingerprints perfectly matched those on record for Billy the Kid. His dental records, scars, and even handwriting were identical. It was as if the same man had been alive for a century, only to be murdered under mysterious circumstances. Had Billy the Kid found a way to travel through time? Did someone track him down to finish what history had already claimed? Or was this simply an unbelievable coincidence? Case remains unsolved, and no logical explanation has ever been found. The vanishing of time traveler John Titor. The early 2000s brought one of the most infamous internet mysteries, the case of John Titor, a self-proclaimed time traveler from the year 2036. Titor first appeared in online forums in 2000, claiming he was a military operative sent back in time to retrieve an old IBM computer needed to solve a future computing crisis. He made bold predictions about upcoming wars, global conflicts, and technological advances, many of which eerily came true. However, what made his story chilling was his sudden disappearance. In March 2001, John Titor posted his final message, stating that he was returning to his time. After that, he was never heard from again. His online accounts vanished, and attempts to track his IP address led nowhere. It was as if he had never existed. To this day, no one has ever proven whether John Titor was real or a hoax. But the detail in his descriptions, the accuracy of some of his predictions, and his mysterious disappearance continue to haunt those who followed his story. The stolen watch and an ancient tomb time travel evidence? In 2008, archaeologists in China made a shocking discovery while excavating a sealed tomb dating back over 400 years. As they carefully unearthed the remains of an ancient noble, something unexpected was found buried with the body, a modern Swiss wristwatch. The watch was stopped at exactly 10:06 and the brand name was clearly visible. Yet, this tomb had been sealed centuries before the invention of wristwatches. Had the watch fallen into the tomb by accident? Impossible, it was sealed for hundreds of years. Had a time traveler visited the past, only to leave behind a piece of future technology? To this day, no explanation has been given. Final thoughts, coincidence, or proof of time travel? Throughout history, cases like these continue to baffle investigators. From mysterious appearances and disappearances to artifacts out of place and predictions of the future, time-related events leave us with more questions than answers. Are these just coincidences, tricks of the mind, and urban legends? Or have we encountered real time travelers, unknowingly altering history before vanishing back into the unknown? One thing is certain, time holds secrets we may never fully understand. If you enjoyed this mind-bending journey into the strangest crimes connected to time travel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Dark Truth Daily for more mysterious, true crime, and conspiracy-related content.